Hello everybody, right, maths time. Okay, so I'd like you to start by counting to 100. So everybody get up on your feet, okay, and Mrs. K, over to you. And I'd like them to count to 100 in any way that you think they should. They can jump, clap, turn, get up and down on their knees, whatever you like. Let's go to 100. Okay, off you go, counting to 100 and pause the video and I'll come back in a minute. Okay, well done. So you've all had a bit of a jump around while you've counted to 100, which you're very good at, I have to say. So well done. Okay, now, when we're counting, we are actually moving our ones and into our tens, and then we go back to ones again each time. So I'm just going to go down onto the floor here and show you some counting. Now, lots of you might know this already, but some of you might still be struggling, so we thought it might be a good idea to go over it. So we've got our tens column and our ones column. Okay, now when I'm counting, I haven't got Dean's or anything at home, so I'm just having to use some little things that I've got here. Let's have a look. Make sure I've got 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Okay. So when we've got our ones column, we're going 1, 2, 3. Now, if that's all I had, I would write 3 in my ones column. There wouldn't be anything in my tens column, just 3 here. But if I keep going, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've now got 9 in my ones column. I would still write 9 and there'd be nothing in my tens column. But if I add another 1 to this column, I now have 10. And I can't write 2 digits in this column. So what I have to do is I have to take all of these and swap them for a 10. And they go into there. So now I have 1 10 and no ones because these have all been swapped. Okay, now I can carry on. So I've got 1 10 and 1 1. So now I've got 11. So I've got 1 10 and 1 1. I keep going. I then get 12, 13, 14. So if I was writing this, I've got 1 10 and 4 ones. I keep going. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, can you remember what I have to do? Yep, that's right. I've got to swap these now for one of those. So now I've got 2 10s and no ones. But then if I keep going, I've now got 2 10s and 1 1, which is 21. This is pens running out as well. 21. And it keeps going and it keeps going. So this column tells me how many 10s I've got, and this column tells me how many ones I've got. So I wonder, what number am I making if I was to put that one, and that one, each of these is a 10. Can you pause the video for a minute and have a talk to Mrs. K about what number that represents? Okay, so I bet you worked it out that that number represented, oh, let's find a piece of paper to write it on. That number represented 30, if we had 3 10s, 4, 34. Okay, now in the classroom we have lots and lots of equipment for counting with. We've got Deans and Numicon and straws and all sorts of things, which I'd now like Mrs. K to get out, so she might need some helpers. So we'll pause the video while we get out the Deans, the Numicon, the straws, perhaps some counters. Okay, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is to have a bit of a play with those Deans and that Numicon and those straws and see which numbers you can make out of them. Okay, you could try putting some Deans down, so you might do 22. Got 10, 20 and 2. And you could then do what I've done and write on a post-it note the number. So if I've done 22, I would write on my post-it note 22. So if Mrs. K can get you sitting down at the tables with lots of equipment and some post-it notes and some pencils, you could try making some different numbers like I have here and write on your post-it note the number that you have made. And she can come round and take some photographs of who's made which numbers. Okay, so we'll pause the video here while you have a play with all those different bits of equipment and see how many different numbers you can represent using that equipment. Okay, so I wonder how you got on with all your bits of equipment. Did you have fun experimenting with making different numbers? Well, now I've got a sheet which I'd like you to do to record some of this work. So at the top it's got your Walt, which is to make numbers using equipment, which is what you've just done. But rather than you choosing your numbers, which is what you've just been doing with it, I've given you some numbers. Okay, I've written the numbers down here, and what I'd like you to do is to make the numbers out of the equipment, and you can either put the numbers here, so the equipment here. So for instance, I might want to put my 20 on the page like that, and a 1, okay, to make it. And Mrs. K can then take a photograph, or if you're feeling really clever, you could try to draw the equipment, okay, onto the sheet. So you could draw your Deans or you could draw your Numicon, and we'd have that recorded there. So that's the next thing I'd like you to all go and have a go at. Okay, see you in a minute. So I wonder how you got on with making all those numbers. If you've still got some time today, or if you found that really quite easy, there are 2 things which you could have a go at. The first one is, if it's a nice day, you could go outside, all of you, and you could try making some numbers representing the numbers with something different. So I know last year we made lots of different numbers using leaves and bits of sticks. So instead of using Deans for 10s, we used leaves for 10s, and we used stones for 1s. Or we used sticks for 10s and leaves for 1s. You could go and have a go at making some numbers using natural things from outside. Okay, another thing you could have a go at is to see whether you could fill in 100 square. So I've sent across some 100 squares with lots of gaps in them. See if you can fill them in by following the counting up to 100. Well done, everybody. I think it's nearly lunchtime, so have a nice lunch and I'll see you later.